and welcome to the program Inspire Children. Do you know that a total of 140 million children are estimated to be born every year into the world? That's a big number. On this program, we take a journey through the lives of children, a look at their growth, their development, their education, and above all, their safeguarding. Communities, families, the government, and all systems are responsible for imprinting the next generation of leaders. Do you know that those that rock the cradle today will rock the boardroom one day? And so it is the responsibility of families, the system, and the community at large to ensure that the current children are raised well for the next generation. Today we take a journey to meet a family, the Munatsireys. They have raised 4 children and they've got many nuggets and experiences to share with us. Join us on this program.
My name is Gary Kai Munatsirey. I'm a father to 4 fabulous children, 2 girls aged 27 and 25, and 2 boys aged 21 and 14. I wouldn't say I had a strong grounding in raising children. If anything, I think my own upbringing was so short of what is preached to us in church today as the ideal way to raise a family. I can't really blame my parents, especially my father, because nobody also showed him how to raise a family properly. So he had nothing to show me, to give me, to pass on to me. But thank God for the church. It helped me a lot to learn about how to raise children properly.
For me, parenting has been, it's being there as a mother, to the point where you sacrifice everything else so that you are just with the children. Initially, I wanted to be a teacher. My mom is a teacher, and I would love the way she would come for holidays and do nothing but just spend time with us. So I wanted the same thing for my children. So I chose teaching as a profession, just to have a lot of time with my children. It got to a point where I had to leave my job in order to do school runs. And it was very satisfying because then we would spend like 4 hours in the same car. There was nowhere to go. Everyone would be together.
I tried my best to apply what we were being taught at church, to be involved in their lives from a very early age.
So for me, parenting is the parent should be there, especially in the formative years. And then when they are there, when you are there, do stuff with them, activities with them, so that you are actually doing life together with them.
I have been very impressed with how they have turned out to be. Actually, when they were in primary and secondary school, one of them, the older ones, used to say, "You know what, Dad? When I'm at school, other girls are surprised why I'm so close to you, because they say that they just can't fathom how they can be, close to their dads." And so I say to them, "So what do you tell them?" And she said, our secret has been that you spend so much time with us when it comes to things like here at school, when we do school activities like sports, like dramas, like music competitions, and so on. You invest so much time, so we get times to get much closer to each other, and this has been this has been our secret.
Being a parent also means that you discipline where you're supposed to discipline. You use mushamu no shanda. It worked on me, it certainly did on them. And yes, it creates, mom is the one who is so strict and mom is the one who beats us up, but dad doesn't. But well, I am doing what I'm supposed to do. So you have to discipline the children, because foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child, and the rod of correction will actually drive it far from them.
it has been a very interesting journey with these two girls. I'm not too worried about, what they are going to, what choices they are going to make as, as adults in terms of a spouse, because I think we have tried very hard to tell them what our expectations as parents are from the one that is going to walk down the aisle with them.
The relationship between me and their dad, I never used to shout at him. They never saw us fighting or shouting, but they saw us supporting each other. They saw us in a setting where they are comfortable to really saying, I think these people are actually in unity. And when it comes to disciplining them as well, especially in the teens, they would test, where do I go? Do I go to dad, demand this, and what would mom say? But we would then team up with dad and say, no, this goes, this doesn't go, this goes. So there was no time where they would come between us and divide us because of the decisions that we would have made.
My older boy is 21. I also spent a lot of time with him. He used to see me watch golf on TV, and he said he asked me to buy him a set of golf clubs for his age group, which I did. And I don't know how many times, over a period of about 4 or 5 years, from grade 3 to 7, going with him to what used to be called East 24 in Eastleigh. There was a golf driving range there. As he has grown up, they want to assert themselves and be his own man. So he has tried to drift away a bit, but we are still very close, especially on things that are really important. It's amazing how I've seen that in recent times before he went away to college, when it comes to issues about our family business, how much his views and my views were resonating together, versus mom's views. So, but this doesn't just happen. There was an intentional effort to try and make sure that I promote a healthy relationship with him from early on. And the things that we are taught at our church to say, some men that are in this church that are adults have never had a hug from their fathers. I learned that from an early age, so we are very comfortable in those kinds of things.
It has not been easy, especially in the teenage. It has not been easy. Like, oh wow, there were lots of tantrums and banging doors and all. But in the end, you end up saying, you know what, because I did psychology of teenagers and I am a high school teacher, so I understood them very well. I'll just leave them until the tempers calm down and then we'll start talking again. So, but the one thing that I also really wanted to do was, and my prayer was, the dad should have a closer relationship with the boy. When COVID came, there was nowhere to go. Everyone was at home. And we had fellowship, and the father was there, and he actually, we pounded wisdom in. We would do scriptures together. We would go into the kitchen and do scriptures together. And also the other thing that I made sure I did was to make sure that both boys and girls would do the same chores. I would not discriminate. You don't do dishes, you don't do what? No, everybody does everything. If it's cooking, everybody cooks. If it's doing dishes, everybody does dishes. If it's cleaning the house, everybody does cleaning the house. That way it would create a unity between the children themselves, because they would not discriminate. You are doing that. I'm a girl. I never treated them differently. I just treated them as children.
Hope you enjoyed the testimonial from Mr. and Mrs. Munatsire on how they impacted and raised their children. Now I'm going to take you to the studio where we are talking to a psychologist, a renowned community psychologist, Noreen Dari, and she's going to give us expert wisdom and advice. Join us. Welcome to the program.
All right, thank you so much, Memory. I'm Noreen Kutanai. Those are my two names, lovely names. Winnie Dari, and I'm a full-time mom, trained psychologist, and sometimes a rugby supporter.
Okay, full-time mom.
Full-time mom.
Full-time into parenting. That's the most interesting thing. Thank you so much for coming to the program. And I believe we're going to go on a very important and exciting journey. Inspire Children is a program that looks at how we can imprint into children who will become the next legacy that will live the next future. And one man says, when it comes to building a future, we don't build a future when it arrives. We start now. And it starts with children in our homes. It starts within the small family, whether it's in a farm, whether it's in a big, it's a big home, wherever any family is residing. And so today on this program, Mrs. Dari, you're going to help us to explore the concept, or rather the importance of parenting as we build on our children, as we give them a safe landing and help them to find their path in this life. So as we start, Mrs. Dari, can you just take us through so that our viewers can understand in general what is parenting? Sometimes it's a big animal and people wonder, when we throw the word parenting, they think it's something that is so far-fetched. Can you help our viewers to understand what parenting is? All right, so I like to think of parenting as the tasks that we are doing every day, you and me out there. And let me say this, with parenting, we are reaching backwards to our parents. And also touching a future that we may never get to see, but we need to care about. What am I talking about? I will say, I think most of us grew up in a home where we knew for certain that the electric stove can never be switched at 6. Of all the numbers there, you could go up to 5. 6 was a no-no. And over the years, you have become a parent, you own your own home, and the law goes, stove is switched past 6, period. Why? It's not known. So that speaks of the socialization of parenting, where there are things that we learn and absorb in our environment from the time we are conceived, not even born. From the time we are conceived, there is a lot of things that are happening in our environment, teaching us how to speak, how to talk, how to learn, how to interact with others. All that sums up what parenting is, but sometimes it's done intentionally or unintentionally. And along the way, both good and bad is collected by the growing child. So I think when we then talk about this parenting that Memory is talking about today, I think it's a call for the more intentional parenting, where we are thinking about our every action, because it's got an impact into a future, like I did say, which we may never get to see, but we will impact without getting into that future. Very interesting. I have seen many adults, Mrs. Dari, when you talk to them, they will always refer back to how they were raised. They will refer back to the words, whether those words were positive or they were negative. They always go back to them. I'm just reflecting on what you're saying about being intentional. And in today's generation, I think it's something that is critical as we safeguard children, as we protect children, and as we groom them for the next future. So, Mrs. Dari, moving forward, I want us to look, parenting is changing generally, and it has changed over time. You have been an expert, you have been into research. Can you take us through what are the changes that we have seen, probably through research or through the things that we are seeing in experiences in our families and so forth, that is happening over time, changing dynamics, economics, how people are looking for money, how people are doing business vis-a-vis their children?
It's an interesting question that you ask me. Has parenting changed? Or the people that are now parents have just changed?
Yes.
Like I was a child once, now I'm an adult, so I've got to figure out the world of parenting. So maybe it's just that now that I'm the adult, and now I've got people that I expect to listen to me, to obey me. Then maybe that's what I begin to see as the change, because I romanticize myself. I think I was a good child.
Okay.
Then I'm thinking, this child is not exactly a very good child. So I'm actually thinking, would our parents say anything has changed when we talk to them? Or they would say, nothing has really changed. Back in the day, we would use a spoon to steal the locked phone and make calls to our friends. Nowadays, they probably can eco-cash and top up their airtime using your phone. So it's kind of the same thing, but I think what has just changed is we are now the parents, and we begin to see this in a different perspective. But however, we cannot ignore the general trends that are happening in the world. Of course, now we have to parent in an era where there's technology. Maybe back in the day, there was not much to talk about. I know we have spoken about maybe things like pornography. It's one of the things that our children are struggling with today. And today, maybe there is more available on the internet, but when you speak to some people from the older generation, they would talk about their exposure to these things, albeit to what level it would differ. When you talk about substance abuse, alcohol, it was still there and it's still there today. So it's just that maybe it's the accessibility to some of these things that has kind of increased in today's era. And we are also finding ourselves ill-equipped as parents to deal with this, because I mean, it's something that we are also trying to manage. I'm trying to manage myself around use of the internet, social media, and I also now have to help a growing child with this thing. So it's something that has just like found all of us there. Then there is interestingly research that speaks about how we are transitioning maybe from working class families into middle class families, and our inadequacy to deal with those transitions, which are more like to do around our work family or work-life balances. So yeah, I would say what has changed is that we are now the parents and we're not the children anymore, but some challenges, they remain universal. You know, the parent always doesn't know enough according to the child, and we are trying to say, no, we know enough, listen to us.
Mommy, so I think, you know, you're not sure about this thing, Mom.
Yes,
I need to help you.
I need to help you. And you're thinking, no, but I think at some point in time, we also thought our parents didn't know any better. So I think, like I'm saying, it's just the same thing, just coming back. And now for the first time, we are the parents and we have to deal with this.
We have to deal with it. Very interesting. Join us after this break. Welcome back as we continue on our discussion here on Inspire Children. So, Mrs. Dari, what are the parenting styles that we see out there, and what is their impact on children, the different kinds of children?
Yes. All right. So, you know, I know there's talk about a parenting style, one that may be good, one that may be bad, but I like to believe all parents out there are actually doing their best, trying to raise their children. In very different, sometimes difficult circumstances. But what I would want to draw your attention to is just a few skills that I think are crucial in our journey to raise children. One of them is acceptance. You know, parents need to get to a place where they can accept their children. And you know, when we talk about acceptance, is if my child is struggling with doing this, are they struggling because it's age appropriate? Are they struggling because they just can't seem to figure it out? I'll give an example. I struggle with my left and right. Like if you say to us 10 left, I literally have to check my hands. Okay,
which is the correct side?
This is the right hand. So even if you drive this home, even if you sit down with me, even if you scream, even if you shout, I may not be able to do that as easily as the next person who probably knows their left from right without even doing this with their hands. So when we talk about acceptance, we are saying they are the person that our child is. As a parent, one of the first things we need to do is to accept that. When we embrace who our child is, it becomes easy now to then move forward with them and figure out the next few stages.
It helps them believe in themselves.
One, it builds their self-esteem, it builds their self-confidence. It just helps them believe in their worth as a person. And that's us as the parents who are doing that. So you can imagine if you are continually asking your child who is left-handed to use their right-handed. So those are some of the very easy things that you can talk about. But after that, we need to give our children space to experiment or to explore and grow. Give them an autonomy. Allow them to make certain decisions. You know, there are decisions that they can make around their lives. We don't have to be like hovering over them every time trying to give them direction, because it's a fallacy to believe that we can always do this. Because at some point in time, they will have to figure themselves out. So have we given them enough training to enable them to figure themselves out? So sometimes we then expect you at 15 to be able to know how to do A, B, C, D, but we would never give you the space to figure themselves out. There's the classic example of a child who took their mom's laptop, to the sink, started washing it.
Washing it? Oh, goodness.
And definitely they thought they were being helpful. So whilst I would not want you to put my laptop in there, but it's important for you to reflect on where the child is coming from, and why they did what they did. Then the last thing I think is also an important skill for parents is emotional management. You know, just stopping to think. You know, when your emotions are high, technically your intelligence is lowered. You don't think straight.
Intelligence is lowered. I hope our viewers are getting that. When you're too emotional, your intelligence
is lowered.
It's lowered.
So it's easy to make mistakes. It's easy to make mistakes.
And many of us parents, there is a moment that we become so emotional. Maybe in Shona, you really want to bring the child up to speed. Yeah, but you're saying that you need to be able to manage the emotions.
You need to manage your emotions, you know. It's important that you do the right thing, but it's also important that I teach them. So, you know, I remember some years back, I visited also with one of my boys. And so while he's sitting there, he sees something interesting. He stands up, he goes there, he touches it. Well, eventually it's time to go home. So I say to him, you know what, Sonny, when we go to people's house, it's not nice to touch people's things. You might break them, they might not like it. So and then he says, okay, it's fine, mommy. And I'm sure he did understand. Then the other time comes, we visit elsewhere. So now he knows the rule is not to touch, but he can look and say, and what's that? And what's that? So he understood my initial instructions. It was not to touch. So sometimes, like I'm saying, that as our children continue to grow, we need to be intentional, teaching them. When they understand, we move on to the next. Not, I know there's this thing that says, I'm not going to say something twice to you as a child. I say it once.
Say it once and it should be done.
I think it's an ideal. It's an ideal. We would all want it, but technically, I've been learning certain things for years. I mean, even as I sit here as a psychologist, it's 7+ years of training to qualify me. So I'm not sure if they wanted to say it once, would they have succeeded? I think we need to be patient as well. We need to be willing to teach them, and it could be one stage at a time. And remember, they are young kids. Their brain is still developing. Their understanding is not to the same extent as you. I'm thinking, I mean, if all of us were that good, I'm sure even as a country would need the police, would not need the police to police us.
To sort us out. Yeah, very interesting. Thank you so much for these views, and it's very important for us indeed. And so, Mrs. Dari, I just want us to take us through, as we continue on this program. I have seen many times the issues of communication becomes a challenge, because we talked about emotional management and communication. How can parents strengthen their communication? What are the simple basic things that they need to do to improve their communication with the child?
All right, so I think the parent-child relationship, the keyword there is relationship. You know, in my years of practice, I've noticed that sometimes I get parents come through to me when their child is an adolescent and they're bringing their child to be fixed. To be fixed by me, and I have no idea how to fix people. I think God has been in that business longer than I have no idea how to do this one. Usually, I think with most parents, we are there, but we are not there. You know, we are present. So I'm in this house with you. I'm probably doing my things and you do your things, but we're in the same space, but we are not being intentional about our engagement, about our communication. So what tends to happen is we think we need to communicate when there's something to be solved.
There's a problem.
Yes. So now I come in, you know me, I'm your mom, I've 40 years experience of life, and I want to help you sort this out. But I want to believe that communication as it is should not only be communicated to solve, but it should be communicated to build the relationship. Right from the time one is conceived, you know, there's a whole lot of research that shows that a child, when talked to in vitro, it helps, in utero, it helps them achieve a lot of other potentials when the children are younger. They do listen, you know, like when you talk and there's a young child, you know, their voices that they're familiar with, they tend to them. What they say is it helps with their brain development. And as they grow older, you know, there's a stage, I know all of the kids go through this one, when they ask a lot of questions, and then when you answer it, it's immediately followed by a why. It's because they are trying to develop their brain, they're trying to understand the world around them, they're trying to figure out things. So sometimes as parents, it's taxing, it's making us tired, it's really not necessary, guy. I just want to get money to pay your fees and give you food, and I don't want to do this. But in those little moments, we are developing a relationship that will allow them to come back and talk to you, and you get to know who they are and their interest as a person. So you become interested in the person as you get to know them. So it's not about talking to them when there are challenges, or maybe the everyday task. When you pick them up from school, just check, how was your day? So sometimes we are asking that question without really wanting to hear the response. It's just like Masquera saying, but not waiting to hear whether there are issues there. So be interested in their lives. Be interested in what is happening. So how's your friend? How's XYZ? There are things that our children are interested in that may not be of our interest. But remember, like I said, it's a relationship we are trying to build. Compromises will be made from your end, from their end. But it's important to find time to spend together. Maybe you can even play games together. It's also another way of you guys communicating your need for each other and your presence and availability for each other. You know, I've got this exercise that I usually ask people to do, and I say, think of anyone in your household, maybe any of your children, and think of the 3 things you can do for them that don't cost you money, but they can make them happy. You can't come up with those things unless you spend enough time with that person.
If you know them.
And you have communicated enough times with them to know who they are.
It's been great hosting you and having you. I know I'm going to have you again. I know that the issues of parenting is just, there's so many things that really want to be tackled. And we look forward to having you again on the program. Thank you so much for sharing deep insights to our viewers, being intentional. And he says, hope is not lost. We can continue. So this is Inspire Children, Imprinting Generations. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you again on the next episode. Thank you.